Hey guys, tonight we're slipping into the cobblestone veins of Florence at dusk, where every shadow owes a debt to history. Picture this: the last sun stains the Arno River pink, while vendors pack up their wares like soldiers retreating after market war. You linger near Ponte Vecchio, gold long gone from its shops, drawn to a lone stall flickering like a sinner's last candle. Your shoes stick to ancient pavement tar gooey remnants of 1940s trolley tracks some say Mussolini ordered paved over. Historians still argue whether Florentines sabotaged the rails or just hated progress. Either way, you're ankle deep in failure. You crouch to inspect a stray coin. It's a 1920s lyre. King Vittorio Emanuele, III's pinched face worn soft. Funny how dictators always look kinder once their pocket change. The stallkeeper ignores you, ritual first. He counts coins into a cedar box, each clink precise as a metronome. His fingers shake, Parkinson's or guilt. You spot a 1943 lyre in the pile. Rust blooms on its edges like old bloodstains. He hesitates, rotates it twice before hiding it under a ledger. Fun fact: Florentine bankers once buried defective coins under church altars to cleanse them. Modern, he's got a tin box. A drunk tourist stumbles by singing O Sol Mio. The merchant doesn't flinch. You're starting to think he's a statue until he palms a stone from his apron. Carrara marble, the same stuff Michelangelo hacked from quarries. For balance, he grunts. First lie of the night. That lump's worth more than his whole stall. Damp seeps into your socks, the Arno's breath, or your own nerves. His lantern gutters as a tram screeches past. Modern Florence hates silence. Your phone buzzes. Instagram's algorithm suggests a gelato reel. Decline. The real treat hears his ledger. Peek closer, names in red ink, amounts crossed out. Fourth entry, his own name circled. Edordo M. Tribute or Tombstone. 3 nuns glide past, faster when they spot him. He spits into the gutter. Northern Italian dialect mutters something about Sunday prices. You catch Usureo, lone shark, but his cuffs are frayed. That's the Florentine way. Dress poor, die with a vault of Renaissance art. Ever notice how the Medici portraits smirk? They knew future YouTubers simp for their bling. So, before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe. But only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. Seriously, this alley's got enough ghosts without dead subscribers haunting my analytics. Drop a comment. Where's your actual location right now? Bonus points if you're also doom scrolling in 3 a.m. humidity. Now dim the lights. Maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum. And let's ease into tonight's journey together. A moth dives at the lantern wings singed by the bulb's halo. The merchant flicks it away. Pests, he says. You can't tell if he means insects or customers. His stall reeks of tobacco and something sweeter, late summer figs rotting in their crates. Across the river, Palazzo Pitti's windows glow, tourists gawking at Medici bedsheets. The merchant snorts. Fools buy threads. Clever ones sell needles. You run a finger along his counter, splinters and sticky resin. Ever wonder why old shops feel like church confessionals? Same wood, same secrecy. He slides a coin toward you, 1940s, mint mark faded. For luck, you decline. His smile cracks like old plaster. Smart. But luck's not the game here. A breeze riffles the ledger. You glimpse Florence, 1953, scrawled in margin, year of the Arno's last killer flood. Quirky tidbit. Survivors swore river mud that year tasted of saffron and gunpowder. The merchant slams the book shut, his knuckles same white as Carrara marble. Churches toll 7. He counts each bell like inventory. At the 9th ring, always late, Santa Cros's a diva, he stands. The stall's awning creaks as he yanks it down. You expect a goodbye. Instead, a rasped warning. Tell no one about the liar. His lantern dies. Darkness fills the stall like poured ink. Somewhere, a cat yowls, coins clattering down a drain. You turn. He's gone. Only the cedar box remains, lid slightly open. Inside, a single 1943 lyre glints. Rust-free. Funny. The Arno's whispering louder now. Or maybe it's your pulse. You shrink into your cloak. As the last sun slinks behind Brunelleschi's dome, street lamps cough to life in protest. The stallkeeper's lantern gutters, painting his face like a Caravaggio leftover. His fingers dance across bronze lyre, each clink precise as a metronome. 12 coins. Pause. 12 again. Pause. Iron scent of old metal mixes with your sweat. Florence's evening breath feels borrowed. Modern trivia time. Those lyre. Same weight as the gold florins of 1252. Medici's accountants saw math as divine. But this guy, he's more friar than financier. Watch his lips move, Hail Marys sink with each scrape of coin on wood. Left palm tremor. Could be Parkinson's. Could be guilt. Historians still argue whether Renaissance bankers used coin clatter to send coded messages. Tonight, you believe it. His pinky hovers above a 1923 piece, mint mark, half scraped off. Napoleon melted church bells for cannonballs. He mutters, though you didn't ask. Quirky fact. Florentines once buried coins with the dead payment for Karen, but only if placed on the eyelids. Bet that's a party city gag now. A moth dive bombs the lantern. He flicks it away without breaking count. 29:30. Tintinnabulation of a silent mass you shift. Cobblestone grit grinds underfoot. His neck cricks toward the noise. Coins freeze mid-stack. For 3 heartbeats, you're both trespassers here. Old rituals ward off older debts, he says to the darkness. His ledger lies open, streaks of red ink like arterial spray. You glance at the lire in your own hand, 1944 mint, Mussolini's profile worn to a noseless ghoul. They banned these after the war, he whispers. Too many ghosts in the alloy. A drunk stumbles past, singing Volare. The merchant's hands steady, briefly. as if the song's a benediction. His right thumb traces the edge of a ducat. You notice the scar then, thin white line from index to wrist. Dual, wire garrote. Beware coins that outlive their kings, he offers, sliding the lire into a velvet pouch. San Lorenzo's bells toll 8. His head snaps up, calculating seconds between peals. You've heard campanologists sometimes tweak rhythms to signal plagues or sieges. Modern ears just hear dinner bells. When he resumes counting, the clinks come faster, 40, 50, salvation by arithmetic. Your shadow stretches across his stall. He pauses, slides a 1799 franc your way, Liberty's face, scabbed with verdigris. Hold it, he commands. The metal's warmer than it should be. French troops raided this city with these in their boots. Still smell the gunpowder. All you catch is Marlboros and damp wool, but you nod. The cat from earlier reappears, eyes reflecting lire as miniature supernovas. Merchant tosses a penny into the gutter. She prefers Austrian shillings, he deadpans. Better mice exchange rate. You fake laugh, but your throat tightens. Forged coins carried death sentences here once. Now, we put them on eBay with vintage patina tags. He suddenly stands, chair screeches like a Kinski rant. The coins shrink into columns, soldiers at parade rest. You see it then, a 1570s testone under the lamp, its surface pocked as a smallpox victim. Bury this one, he growls, unless you want to dream what Cosimo de' Medici dreamt. Street vendors pack up their laughter. You pocket the testone, it burns through denim. His fingers resume their dance, slower now. 70, 71, each number a bead on some invisible rosary. The Arno exhales fog, blurring the lamps to haloed zeros. You walk away counting your own breaths. His rhythm follows, haunting your steps like a fiscal ghost. Moonlight slicks the Arno's curves as you clutch the testone. Its edges bite like teeth. The merchant's stall shrinks behind you, but that cross-marked coin from the mints of 1527 pulses in your pocket. Remember the Medici wolves stamped on its face. Their eyes follow you now, hungry for interest, compounded over 5 centuries. You duck into an alley choked with jasmine. Your thumb rubs the cross, flakes of silver stick to your sweat. It's not a crucifix. Too crude. Too northern. Ghost trivia. Florentine coins once bore Templar crosses during the 13th century until the Pope called it heresy and melted them for chamber pots. The merchant's version, ragged like someone scratched it in during a panic. A gondola creaks on the river. You freeze, counting 12 heartbeats between each oar splash. Old habit. Historians still argue whether Dante's Inferno secretly mapped Florence's underground coin forges. Eternity as a mint. Fitting. You whisper the date etched beside the cross. MDXXVII. Sack of Rome year. Coincidence. Ask the drunk pissing on Giotto's campanile. Ask your palms, itching now. The testone grows colder. Medici propaganda warned of these souls trapped in poorly minted metal. Quirky fact: Renaissance burghers rubbed suspect coins on stone saints for divine authentication. If the patina stuck, burn the coin. Burn yourself. 2 bad Duomo vigils don't include confessionals for numismatists. Muffled laughter floats from a trattoria. You pivot, clinking 6 lire loose from your pocket. They roll toward a grate. Like hell. You scramble, medieval gutter slogans under your knees. Il porco ci ruba monit. The pig who steals coins. 4 recovered. 2 lost to the Arno's gut. A shadow looms. Merchant's cat, translucent in gaslight, licks its paw where a silver penny should be. Judas Fair, you mutter. Legend says Pope Clement VII paid his assassins with cursed scuti. They died clutching their fees, hands petrified into claw shapes. The cat hisses. You hiss back. Florence approves. Back at street level, you study the cross coin under a gelato sign's buzz. Mercenaries under Charles V carried these during the siege, hacked the mint's doors with halberds. The cross, a merc's mark for prey now, plunder later. Dark ideogram, until you turn it sideways. Just a tally. 4 ticks, kill count. Lovers, days since showering in a war zone. Your phone buzzes. Silver prices up 3%. Laugh. 1527's melt value. Exactly 1 prayer and a knife to the ribs. You pocket the coin. Watch moonlit ripples where those lyres sank. Some debts stay submerged. The Arno murmurs wet gossip. You walk. Testone heavy, cross-marked. Florence distributes its weight unevenly, always has. Merchant's voice loops in your skull. Coins outlive. Kings don't. Truer than he knew. That 1944 lire dissolving in your sock. Mussolini's bald spot merging with your blisters. Campanile, bells gargle midnight. Shadow shapes mimic coin, stacks along the Ponte Vecchio. You clutch the testone, vowing to toss it. Vows here have less value than the paper they're written on. Somewhere downstream, 2 lost lyre kiss the riverbed. A bargeman's net scoops them ignorant of their heresy. You head north. Dawns a ledger even the Medici couldn't forge. River mist coils your ankles like wet rope. The Arno exhaling secrets from its murky bed. You pause where the merchant stood hours before. His boot scuffs linger in dew, 2 blurred arcs pointing riverward. Fun fact: Florence's sewage system ran straight into the Arno until the 1960s. Tonight, it smells like rotting lilies and 5 centuries of bad decisions. You kneel, fingertips grazing algae-slick stone. The water whispers in dialect. Quanto devi? How much do you owe? A gurgle answers. Something bronze glints below a cooking pot. Mussolini-era tire. Historians still argue whether the drowned treasures of 1966 included Botticelli sketches or just drunk tourists' cameras. You flick the testone. Let it hover above the current, Medici wolves snarling upside down. The merchant's shadow joins yours, not him. A gondolier's statue, nose chipped off by French troops in 1799. Props to Napoleon's vandalism budget. You pocket the coin. Too valuable. Too haunted. Mist thickens. Shapes blur. The stall's lantern becomes a wino's cigarette. Florentine fog does that. Made the Medicis cancel 3 invasions. Whether as warfare, you mutter. The Arno approves slurping a Coke can against the embankment. Your phone buzzes. 1:04 a.m. 78% battery. No new loans. Surprise. Adventure tip. Never trust a river that birthed both the Renaissance and 6 kinds of hepatitis. You kick a pebble. It plinks, another unpaid debt. Beneath the surface, something groans, chains. Just the old pescaweir, 12th century fish trap turned eel casino. Quirky tidbit. Locals once threw corroded coins into the weir as taxes for the river god. Receipts optional. The eels got rich. A fish breeches silver belly flashing like a freshly minted scudo. You count 8 ripples. The merchant would approve. Did he toss coins here? Confessions. Bodies. Arno keeps its bargains. Damp seeps into your boots. You retreat, backing into a nonna, walking her poodle-hyena mix. She curses in a dialect last spoken during the siege of Florence. Apologize with your last sugar packet. Wartime currency, apparently. The river slinks north, smug. You follow. Mist parts around the Uffizi, its statues judging you through barred windows. Duke Cosimo glares. Would he prefer you drowned the Testone? Pawned it. A bureaucrat's ghost hisses. Document the wait. For the audit. Too late. You pass the Santa Croce, leather stalls closed, but reeking of a partisan-era ostrich hides. Kitchens vent pasta steam. Stomach growls. Funny how hunger feels like owing yourself a meal. The Arno's hunger's louder, swallowing hubris and hubcaps since the Etruscans. Footsteps echo behind. Tax collector. You duck into a souvenir kiosk. I heart suit Firenze aprons sway like execution hoods. Through plastic, you watch a priest light a cigarette off a votive candle. Bells toll once, San Miniato's lullaby, or a reloaded gilt gun. You emerge. Dawn licks the east. The Testone warms. Currency's original sin, pretending promises have weight. The river knows better. Currents dislocate time. Medici gold becomes yesterday's kebab wrapper. You reach the Ponte Vecchio. Jewelers' cages glint empty. No one pawns at this hour except ghosts and Bloomberg addicts. Lean over the edge. Let the Testone's shadow kiss the Arno. Muscles tense. Release. Air parts, but your hand snaps shut instinctively. Coward, pragmatist. The coin burns. Florence taught you well. Footsteps again. Closer. A police boat putters below, searchlight raking the banks. For fugitives, contraband. That suspiciously happy couple holding gelato at 2 a.m. You slip into an alley. The Arno's laughter fades. Some fines even rivers can't pay. End scene on trench foot and velvet darkness. Always velvet. Cobbles bite through worn soles. Each step a clap in the alley's throat. You freeze. The merchant's silhouette sharpens ahead, a marionette cut from sackcloth. His head jerks left, right, counting shadows between market stalls like a miser checking locks. Florentine law once required merchants to display their gabella tax badges after sunset. He wears none, just a frayed cord around his neck, woven from what might be Medici-era ledger threads. Whip-thin fingers dart across coin stacks. 73, 74. Lips mouthing numbers like the names of dead lovers. A shutter slams. His spine straightens, a rusted blade yanked from its sheath. You cough. Bad move. Those eyes swivel Habsburg coins squashed flat and hammered into irises. Non-Augie, he rasps. Not today. The dismissal hangs like hams in a butcher's cold room. Quirky tidbit. Renaissance black markets used trained cats to ferry contraband. One still lurks, a one-eared tabby peering from an olive barrel. Its judgment cuts deeper than the night chill. You raise empty palms, the universal "I'm not Napoleon's tax collector" gesture. He hesitates, sniffs. You reek of Arno mud and panic sweat, hardly a threat. A waxed string parts in his hands. 14 copper Bolognino roll into a felt-lined box. Historians still argue whether 15th century Florentine coins were oiled with lamb fat or walnut residue. The answer: stale mortadella grease. Your nose knows. Wind riffles the stall's awning, painted with faded heraldic bees. A Grand Duchy of Tuscany reenactment group abandoned it last Tuesday. You shift. Boots screech against stone. The merchant flinches like you kicked a votive candle. Basta. His palm slaps the counter. 3 denarii tremble, heads all Cesar Borgia. You mimic his rhythm. Tap once. Pause twice. The cat's cipher of 1502, or just tourist spam. His nostril twitches. Recognition. Disgust. Sun-bleached bricks press closer. You're blocking the cat's exit. It yowls, a sound that once emptied Venetian plague ships. The merchant pales, mutters what might be a prayer or inventory list. 14 flasks, 22 nails, 1 sole lightly used. A convent's bell vomits 3 muted notes. Witching hour's cousin. He flicks a torn scudo your way, Hitler's profile defaced with a kitchen knife. Prendi, Evi, take and go. The coin's edge bites your palm, austerity over mercy. Something clicks, not the scudo, not the cat. Your phone autocorrect resurrecting Florence as fire Nazi again. The merchant's glare could carbon date fossils. You pocket the insult. Miracle, he hasn't smelled your hidden Swiss chocolate. Wartime rations discipline dies hard. Damp wool creaks as he leans closer. Crushed juniper berries and mold. A ledger flops open, entries blotted with wine or blood. Guardy, look. His nail stabs a line. Ferdinando II, 1621. 12 fiorini. Debito estinto. Debt settled. Rumor says pre-Euro Italians buried debt ledgers with dead creditors. You glance at the Arno. He slams the book. Morti non pagano. The dead don't pay. Neither do you yet. A moth dive bombs the lantern. Shadows eat half his face. Tree parole 3 words, his price. You swallow air. Choose poorly, and the cat gets your tongue, literally. Florence invented modern finance. Also inventive threats. Argento Vivo, living silver, the merchant stills, mercury or a code. His laugh rasps like a saw through bone. Sigh. A jar appears. Quicksilver swirls, reflecting your warped grimace. Argento Vivo, fueled Renaissance mirror makers, also killed them by 30. Choices, choices. His thumb drifts toward the ledger's red-stained pages. You mimic Dante descend further. The shadow where commerce and confession blur. 3 breaths. 4 heartbeats. The cat leaps, shattering the silence like a stained glass demon. You flinch. Mercury shivers. Too late. The cat's yowl lingers, a cheese grater to the eardrums. Mercury sloshes as you steady the jar. Your reflection stares back, a funhouse ghost clutching liquid poison. Renaissance poisoners once mixed Argento Vivo into beauty creams. The merchant's face says he'd consider it. He slams a cloth over the quicksilver. Tree vault, 3 taps. Your pocket yields the silver scudo. A Medici lily blooms on its face, 5 petals for the 5 families who ruled Florence's underworld. You slide it across splintered wood. His finger hovers. Tap. The counter's oak groans. Tap, tap. 2 deadbolts echo beneath the stall. Tap, tap, tap. A drawer springs open. Inside, a mummified pigeon. Its beak clasps a scroll. Messaggero, he croaks. Dead 17 years. Pigeon couriers once smuggled counterfeit florins in wax-sealed pods. This one's cargo. A single key. Iron. Teeth filed to mimic molars. The merchant tucks it into your palm cold as a tomb digger's joke. His thumb brushes your wrist. A 1610s scam surfaces in your mind. Con men sold skeleton keys that only opened debtors' ribcages. Lantern light guts the pigeon's hollow chest. L'art des mercanti had 7 secret handshakes, you murmur. Archaeologists found one etched in a 1423 privy. His smirk says amateurs. Quattro. 4. He flashes fingers calloused from counting and crossing himself. Wind riffles the scroll. A date winks, 1944. Nazi-looted art symbols blend with Florentine guild marks. Historians still argue whether the city's underground railroads moved paintings or plutonium. Why not both? You pocket the key. It clinks against Hitler's defaced coin, a duet of bad decisions. The cat reappears, this time atop a pyramid of Tuscan roof tiles. Its one good ear pivots toward the Piazza della Signoria. You're 10 minutes from the Uffazis' night guards. 17 from their barked German commands. Vatin Gatto, the merchant hisses. The commands half-hearted. Your shoes crunch pigeon grit. He freezes. Too loud. You trade noise for pain, toe-heeling across cobbles like a drunk ballerina. His laugh cracks the silence. Renaissance dandies strapped walnut shells to their soles for stealth. You take 3 blisters over this humiliation. Moonlight carves his face into a debt ledger's columns. Lachaev non aprior. Don't open. His finger stabs air where your heart flutters. Florentine bankers, buried defaulters, with lockets of unpayable interest. The key heats your palm, a live coal in waxed paper. 3 torches flare in the piazza. Shadows leap like gargoyles off baptistry walls. The merchant vanishes behind his stall. Cat follows, a gray smudge trailing sardine stench. You count 37 steps to the Ponte Vecchio. Each one whispers trust no one in 7 dialects. A shutter creaks overhead. Steel glints a fishing line. No, a flail's chain dangling butcher hooks. You duck. Street theater or assassination. The merchant's muffled chuckle answers. Commedia dell'arte, you mutter. His version needs fewer projectiles. The Arno murmurs below, sewer, sanctuary, silent partner. You grip the key's teeth. 17th century Florentines believed rivers carried dead accountants. Sighs. Tonight, it carries your heartbeat, a frantic tambourine in the dark. Damp stone numbs your back as you crouch beneath the bridge. The key's head swirls with engraved faces. Dante, Machiavelli, that guy from the mediocre focaccia stand. No, just time's blur. You press it to the wall. It fits. Of course it fits. The merchant's laughter follows you into the blackness, dry and crumbling. Like a ledger page kissed by flame. Damp cobblestones drink the last amber streaks of sunset. Vendors fold faded awnings with military precision, except one. His stall hunches beneath the ospital Digli Innocenti's shadow. Lantern light licks a brass counter pitted like battlefield armor. You inhale olive oil, rust, and the sweetness of decayed ledgers. He doesn't glance up. Wiry fingers shuffle coins, lire from 6 republics, ducats stamped with ghosts. Their clinks form a Morse code only debtors decipher. Beneath his thumb, a parchment yellows. Names cascade in vermilion ink. Perdono, you lie the standard Florence hello. His teeth click. 4th knuckle taps the 4th line. Lorenzo Vittori. His own name circled twice, blood-red Ouroboros. Shadows congeal. A 1941 lyre winks. Mussolini's profile, half scraped away. 10,000 hours polishing that, he croaks. Post-war Florentines used dictator coins as shaving mirrors. Historians still argue whether the black market sold them as toilet paper first. You edge closer. The ledger's spine cracks open, revealing columns of red. Debiti. Debts. His nail stabs at numbers. 5 lire for bread, 20 for silence, 97 for a noose's exact length. Tutto qui. A lie. The Arno belches a fog that reeks of drowned contracts. You spy dates. 1911, 1938, 1944. His fingertip hesitates at June 9th. Florentine partisans sabotaged Nazi fuel depots that day using cheesecloth bombs. The ledger lists no explosions, only a 12 lire cleaning fee. Pigeons erupt from the loggia, scattering the silence. His head snaps left. A cloaked figure melts into Via dei Servi. The ledger slams shut. Dust motes swarm like betrayed secrets. Tread aside. 13. He drops a chipped bowl in your hands. Inside, 17 buttons and a desiccated chickpea. Medieval Florentines used legumes as voting tokens. This one's riddled with pockmarks, a ballot for purgatory. A scrape of wood. The counter lifts, revealing a cavity stuffed with letters. Their seals, wax roses, black eagles, a thumbprint in lard. Per Florence, he hisses. You recognize the stationery, identical to notes left on vanished resistance fighters. Moonlight bleeds through Brunelleschi's dome. His whisper rasps your ear. Lachayevi, a prono Anchlabach. Keys open mouths too. You try not to count his remaining teeth. The lantern dies. When light returns, the ledger's on fire. Pages curl into ash doves. He watches a penitent roasting his sins. Red ink sizzles. Lorenzo Vittori's name blackens and lifts skyward. Annie 30, he mutters. 1930s haircut places you as carabinieri. Black shirt. Mistress. You pocket the bowl. Its chickpea rolls with the gravity of unmarked graves. A child's scream pierces Piazza Santissima, Annunziata. He barks laughter dry as a tax audit. Morto Stasera. Dead tonight. The scream turns to giggles. Florentine children still play lupa, chasing collaborators' ghosts through back alleys. Your coat brushes the counter. A corner of parchment clings to the wool one surviving line. G. Lombardi, 150 lire for forgetting. The ink's still wet. He's gone. Only his stench lingers, garlic and sacramental wine. You weigh the bowl. Buttons click like an abacus from hell. The chickpea mocks you, round and unresolved. Somewhere a shutter slams. The Arno keeps its own accounts. The cat freezes mid-stride, its emerald eyes twin lyre, catching the lantern's guttering light. You mimic its stillness, lungs burning with questions better left unanswered. Coins wink beneath its paws like miniature shields. Florence's rat-catching cats earned extra bread rations during the 1943 siege, a kindness withdrawn when mice ate the payment records. It blinks first. The stall's plank creaks as you crouch. 16 coins form a crescent between you 18th century papal states mixed with counterfeit modern euros. One bears tooth marks, hunting finer game than pigeons. The tail lashes, your laugh dies in your throat. Medici tomb guardians adopted strays to detect grave robbers' footsteps. Felines got first pick of funeral flowers as tribute. Whiskers brush your knuckle. A coin sticks to your palm, warm as fresh blood. The 1790 Pius VI Scudo shows Moses receiving stone tablets, or maybe ordering lunch. Historians still argue whether tilt-witch patterns guided Renaissance bankers during transactions. Your current feline auditor flicks twice for credit denied. You pocket the scudo. The cat's ears flatten. 3 bells toll from Santa Croce, each note flinching the creature's shoulders. It retreats behind a sack of moldy farrow. You follow, knee popping like a cork from Aldo's ruined wine cellar. The grain shifts, revealing a leather pouch distended with teeth. "Not my department," you whisper. The cat disagrees, claws scoring your sleeve. Moonlight betrays you both. Coins cascade from beneath the stall, 37 by your rapid count. The cat pounces on a 1925 5-lire piece, dribbling it like a footballer. Florence outlawed minting King Vittorio Emanuele III's profile after he fled Mussolini. Citizens sanded his smirking face into blank ovals. "This one's been defaced with 'Is that a cat's paw?' Collaborator," you mutter. The tail stiffens, burnt sienna fur rising. A shutter slams upstairs. The cat bolts, coins clattering like a dropped gambler's ransom. You give chase through alleys stinking of rancid focaccia. It scrambles up a drainpipe forged from melted down Habsburg cannons. Graffiti mocks your pursuit. A crayon Medici cat urinating on a Sforza crest. The rooftop tiles sag beneath your soles. The cat waits atop a chimney choked with owls' nests. Its prize glints, the defaced Vittorio lyre. You offer the scudo. Green eyes narrow. Cellists warm up in some unseen courtyard, strings weeping through the chimney's mortar. The coin drops. You grab air, clumsy fingers catching lyre and tail. It yowls. You release. The bite leaves teeth, marks mirroring the coins. "Truce," you rasp, pressing the scudo into bird-cracked clay. Dawn stains the Arno's belly. The cat licks its wounded pride, then the coin. Echoes of hobnailed boots scatter pigeons below. The creature vanishes, taking 3 centuries of Florentine corruption with it. Your pocket jingles with its rejects, a 1762 Baiocco, and something that might be a Viking hacksilver fragment. You descend, tasting blood and the staleness of stolen history. The stall lies ransacked. Feathers drift from the ripped pharaoh sack. Only the ledger survives, open to a fresh entry in red ink. Gatto Nero, 500 lire for silence. Your pulse quickens. The cat watches from across the piazza, tail curled like a forged signature. Its eyes glow accountants of the unpayable. You toss the bloodied Baiocco skyward. It catches nothing but mist. Some debts stay between beasts and the moon. The merchant's fingers brush your wrist cold as a winter well. His other hand digs into a velvet pouch. Coins spill, 16 lire clattering like uneven teeth. One catches lantern light, rusted edges blooming where Mussolini's profile once sneered. Florence's 1943 occupation forced local mints to use adulterated metals. Wartime lire corroded faster than fascist alliances. You've seen cleaner coins in Venetian sewers. He snatches it back. The motion stirs air smelling of burnt rosemary and shame. Historians still argue whether partisans stamped anti-fascist symbols on currency. This one's pitted surface shows only scars. Your thumb finds grooves, 3 parallel lines scored deep. A tally. His breath hitches, a sound like lyre tumbling down a wishing well. Moonlight shifts. The marks align a crude V for Vittorio Emanuele III. or victory. The king fled Rome in 43, wearing 7 layers of looted ecclesiastical robes. True story. You mention this, testing waters. His knuckles whiten around the coin. Some collectors pay triple for lire, smuggled in dead soldiers' boots. But you're no scavenger. Are you? A gondolier's off-key aria drifts from the Arno to Florentine to care. The merchant parts his coat lining. Twin lyre nest there, 1943 siblings. One bears bite marks. Carabinieri took her gold fillings, he mutters. She ate lyre to spite them. Archaeologists found medieval Bolognese coins in a nun's stomach last year. Piety or protest? You don't ask. Don licks the stall's awning. He folds the damaged coin into a handkerchief, stained with what might be wine or dried broth. War-era Italians cooked lyre into bread for emergency savings. The heat welded dates into dough. Your Nana's letters described retrieving coins from sourdough caskets. You almost tell him. Almost. The ledger slaps shut. His price for the lyre, a story. Just one, no names, no dates. Your tongue weighs grams, 1,000 unsold metaphors. Some debts carve deeper than lyre. You shake your head. He nods, approving, regretful. The coin disappears into his sleeve. A dog barks 3 streets over. The Allies bombed that piazza in 43, but missed the gelato cart. Priorities. You leave with empty palms and a receipt in cipher. The Arno whispers of sunken lyre dredged up for the odd traveler's folly. Behind you, the clink of metal on wood. It might be a trade, might be a tribute. The cat watches from the cathedral's gutters, licking a paw steeped in Rhenish wine and borrowed time. The Arno's breath hangs damp as you uncurl your palm. 12 extra lyre, glinting under the stall's lantern. Their post-war mint, edges crisp as a carabinieri salute. You nudge them forward, an offering, an apology for prying. His eyes dart to the coins, then past your shoulder to the Ponte Vecchio. 1844, floods washed goldsmiths, wares into the river. Divers still fish up wedding bands fused to fishhooks. He pushes your hand back, knuckles scarred from an old burn. More isn't better, he rasps. The cathedral bells toll 9. Each strike makes his flinch tighter. Historians still argue whether medieval Florentines bribed bell ringers to speed up closing time. Sundials don't lie, but lyre could. You try again, this time adding a Weimar Republic mark from your pocket. Hyperinflation turned him into dollhouse wallpaper. True story. No, his refusal clicks like a cognac wallet lock. Under the counter, his boot taps Morse code against cobblestones. Short, short, long, SOS, or a Tuscan folk rhythm. Fringe archivists claim partisans used coin jingles to signal raids. 3 fast clinks meant black shirts approaching. The merchant's hands stay still now. A moth dives into the lantern, wings singeing as it circles the flame. He watches it, jaw working. My nonno starved with 40 lyre sewn into his hat brim, sewed them to his shroud instead. Post-unification, Poverty hit Tuscan sharecroppers hardest. Malaria ate their savings faster than mold on lire notes. You pocket your coins, feeling their weight sour. A child's laughter skips across the piazza. Tourists snapping photos with gelato spoons. His gaze follows the sound, softening. Her lira bought my first shoes, he mutters, thumb brushing a coin with a child's scrawl. Florentine urchins etched doodles on lire. During the '66 flood, angels with umbrellas, rats on gondolas. The Academy dismissed them as vandalism. You lean closer, the engravings a stick figure girl waving. He slams the ledger dust, rising in protest. A pressed violet drifts from its pages, purple, long faded to bone white. Botanists found Renaissance love letters using flower stains as code: rosemary for remembrance, thistle for betrayal. This one crumbles at your breath. Enough. His voice grates like a rusty hinge. You ask why he won't take the extra coins. Across the river, a street musician's accordion wheezes Bella Ciao. The merchant stills, face half lit by a pharmacist's neon cross. 30s censorship. Laws changed the song's lyrics 17 times. Fascist editors kept tripping over metaphors. He hums a forbidden verse, low, smoky. The cat from the Duomo slinks past, a dead mouse dangling from its jaws like a pendant. Some scales can't balance, he says finally. A bead of sweat traces his temple, digging canals in the grime. You notice his apron strings are uneven, one hemp, one silk. Florentine guilds find tailors for mixing fabric grades, unless the client was a mistress or a cardinal. His fingers find a pendant under his shirt, a lumpy thing, more solder than silver. Midnight yawns. The stall's curtain sags, dyed with walnut hulls and weariness. He stuffs lire into a burlap sack, each click a punctuation mark. War orphans collected shell casings as banknotes, traded 5 hulls for a stale roll. You wonder if he was one. The question dies when he offers you a fig split open, its flesh bruise purple. For luck, he insists, sweetness explodes on your tongue, a candied defiance. Medici banquet records mention figs stuffed with counterfeit ducats served to traders during dessert. Yours hides no metal. He smirks, reading your relief. A tram clatters by. Advert for Brunelleschi's dome peeling, like sunburn. The lantern gutters. Shadows eat the stall inch by inch. He vanishes into them, a spectre owed more lire than the Tiber has rats. You pocket the fig stem, amber sap oozing over your fingertips. The cat licks a coin at your feet, its tongue rasping off dates, names, sins. Some debts even time won't collect. San Miniato's bell cleaves the night, a single stroke that vibrates your molars. The merchant grabs his chest like the sound, hooked a rib. You've heard vespers here before, 12 echoing peals, but this lone note feels audited. During the 1530 siege, Republicans melted every Florentine bell for cannons, except San Miniato's. Scholars claim its bronze was too brittle. Drunk tourists swear they hear gunpowder in its tone. The merchant's ledger slips, pages fanning open to a sketch of the bell tower. Someone inked tiny nooses dangling from each window. My Baisnano, he grunts, hung himself after ringing it wrong on Garibaldi's birthday. Archivists found 19th century logs where ringers noted haunting interference, scribbles claiming the ropes pulled back. You ask how a bell could ruin a man. He spits into the shadows, a feeble punctuation. That tolls not for prayers. It's a tax. His thumb rubs a lyre stamped with a bell icon. Florentine mint workers snuck them into batches to mock church greed. The cat bats it toward the gutter. Toxic nostalgia. These coins circulated during the Black Death, trading hands, till the Pope banned them as toxin tender. In the silence after the chime, a wet cough rattles his lungs. 5, 6, 7 seconds pass. Night watchmen once timed paupers' funerals by San Miniato's bell. If the death rattle outlasted the echo, the city waived burial fees. A jasmine-scented breeze sweeps the piazza, but his wheezing persists. Historians still argue whether the single toll marked Medici spy meetings or just a broken gear. You press a hand to the stall's wood, residue of 100 fingertips soaked into the grain. This close, the lantern reveals his irises aren't brown, but banknote green. The bell counts us, he whispers. Each ring a life debit. Your pulse thuds in time with distant clinks somewhere. Another insomniac sorts coins. The cat pounces on a moth. Wings crunch. The merchant laughs, a jagged sound, and tosses a lyre into the darkness. You hear it smack the Arno's skin. A dog barks. 30 lyre bob in its wake like breadcrumbs for ghosts. When merchants feud with the river always wins. He yanks the lantern chain, oil sloshes, hungry. The flame doubles itself in his stare. Go, he says, not unkindly. Debts compound at midnight. San Miniato stays mute as you retreat. No second bell, no closure, just the cat, licking its paws where the shadow of the tower stretches like a ledger line. The lantern's oil hisses, a dying breath. You notice the locket first, its cracked hinge catching the light wrong. He clutches it like a rosary made of regret. Inside, a girl's portrait stares out round-cheeked, 10 or 11. The same face adorns a 1368 Florentine Fiorino on the counter. Coins and ghosts, minted by the same hands. Mia Figlia, he croaks. Carved her there myself, back when these eyes saw straight. Early Renaissance goldsmiths often hid portraits in lockets. Medici wives smuggled poison pills in similar ones. His thumbnail grazes the coin's edge. She'd be 43. No, 44. The math takes 12 seconds. A church bell groans upstream, the Arno answering in wet gasps. You ask how a girl becomes currency. He snaps the locket shut too fast. Debts outlive people. His fingernail traces a ledger entry. D. Rossi, 1982-1994, followed by 7 red slashes. Historians still argue whether those slashes represent lire, years, or souls. The cat bats a moth into the ledger, wings smearing the ink to arterial streaks. A tourist clomps past, flipping a euro like a carnival ticket. The merchant slams his palm over the fiorino. Hated her portrait on these, said it made her feel trapped. You squint. The coins girl grips a laurel branch, but her eyes flicker sideways. Florentine engravers often slipped defiance into designs. A thumbprint here. A hidden compass rose. Some say they coded messages for anarchist guilds. His cough returns, a mortar and pestle grind. You count 8 seconds. 9. They found her with a pocket full of these. He jabs at the coin. Drowned. 12 years old, the Arno murmurs, shifting silt beneath its tongue. Teenage suicides once halted river trade for weeks. Merchants fearing ghosts would pluck coins from their purses. Your shadow stretches toward the locket. His hand blocks it, chapped knuckles spelling out no in braille. Every year, I add a fiorino to the ledger. 1 for each year. She moonlight glints off his wedding band, thinner than a coin's edge. Widowers in the Oltrarno district still file down their rings yearly, a mourning ritual some call the unmaking. A drunk stumbles into a fruit cart, oranges roll like misplaced suns. The merchant doesn't flinch. Tried to pawn the locket once. Fell off my neck, scalded my chest. He rubs a pale scar. Now it stays. You mention museum, plaques calling the Fiorino girl a symbol of prosperity. He snorts. Symbols are what we carve on empty pockets. The cat leaps onto the counter, paws tracking ink across the ledger. D. Rossi becomes drowned. Red, the merchant scoops the beast into his arms, an awkward tenderness. She fed strays too. Almond biscuits from her breakfast plate. His first tear hits the cat's skull. It licks salt instead of fur. A speedboat roars on the Arno, wavelets slap stone. The locket sways, its broken clasp ticking like a stopped watch. You ask if he keeps the coins to remember or to punish. He turns the Fiorino over. On the reverse, a fleur-de-lis wilts under crossed hammers. To balance the ledger, he rasps. Somewhere, a shutter bangs. The lantern dies. You exit backward, the locket's silhouette burned into your retina like a cartographer's mistake. First light claws through the Arno's mist, fingernails scraping paint off the stall's shutters. Splinters jut like broken vows. His hands, still ink-stained from the ledger, now glow bone-white under dawn's glare. Every crease mirrors the cracks in his counter. You slide a 1943 lire toward him, mud still caked in Mussolini's engraved chin. He pushes it back. 12 fiorini. No more. The price hangs wrong, a crooked painting. Tourists at the Ponte Vecchio haggle louder over leather bags, oblivious. Florentine haggling once involved spitting in palms, a tradition killed by paper bills and germ theory. The cat leaps onto a barrel tail, flicking dust onto a stack of 16th century quatraini. Bronze edges stain your palms green. 12's not enough, you say. The words feel like stealing. He slumps, wood groaning under his elbows. 12 years she lived. 1 coin per year fare tax on air. His index finger traces a crack in the counter. Historians still argue whether Santa Claus's architects designed cracks into confessionals to let sins breathe. A barge honks on the river, ducks scatter. Sunlight hits the locket dangling from his neck. The broken clasp casts a dagger-shaped shadow over your wrist. Take 20, you insist. Buy back some peace. His laugh rasps like a saw through lead. Peace drowns in daylight. From beneath the counter, he withdraws a handkerchief, unfolds it to reveal 12 coins. Each fiorino bears his daughter's portrait, but her laurel branch becomes a noose in this light. A tour group trudges past, selfie sticks angled like lances. Is this a Holocaust memorial? Someone asks, pointing at the stall. The merchant freezes. You cough. No, just old coins. Their guide murmurs about the Bacetto del Vino nearby, 15th century wine windows, where priests served plague survivors. He slaps the coins into your palm cold as exhumed teeth. No refunds. The transaction feels less like a sale and more like an exorcism. His wedding band catches light, thin as a pulled thread. Widowers in the Oltrarno still file those rings down yearly, though the ritual's origin died with the last Medici. You scoop the coins into your pocket, their weight uneven. One sticks to your thumb. Flip it. The reverse shows crossed hammers over wilted lilies. Florentine blacksmith guilds used that emblem, or was it Cooper's? Archivists fist fight over dusty scrolls to this day. The stall's canopy sags, sunbeams piercing through moth-eaten fabric. He rubs his neck where the locket burned him. Go, before the vigili ticket you for loitering in grief. A joke, maybe. His mouth twitches, left side only. Footsteps approach, a nun clutching a basket of basil. She nods at the merchant, drops a silver scudo into his cup. He doesn't thank her. Some debts refuse comfort. You step back, but pause. What'll you do now? He gestures to the river, dawn painting the Arno's current blood orange. Same as always, wait for the tide to spit her back. The ledger lies open. Red ink dries to brown. Turning away, you nearly trip over the cat. It hisses, offended. The coins shift in your pocket, chiming. Riches or reminders, no difference here. Halfway across the piazza, you glance back. The stall's already dark, sunlight avoiding it like a cursed fresco. He's counting lire again, or years, or heartbeats. The math sounds the same. Tourists colonize the piazza, draped over the Fontana del Porcelinos, ledge like discarded scarves. Their laughter pings off Medici crests, embedded in the cobblestones. You count 11 selfie sticks, each angled to capture duck-faced euphoria against a backdrop the merchant would call a graveyard. The fountain's bronze bore gleams, snout worn smooth by 8 centuries of hopeful palms. Legends claim rubbing. It ensures a return to Florence, though no one mentions the cost. A teen drops €1 into its maw. My insta's gonna break, she squeals. 14th century nobles tossed silver grossi here to bribe the river gods. Now it funds gelato spills and tick-tock drafts. Across the square, the merchant's stall shrinks, a bruise in the sunlight. He sweeps crumbs of mortar from his ledger, ignoring the carnival at his doorstep. Every whoop from the fountain tightens his shoulders, compound interest on isolation. A toddler lobs a coin. It arcs sun catching the edge before plunging into algae-specked water. You recognize that scudo. Same chipped edge, same fleur-de-lis. The merchant tucked it under his daughter's pillow during fever dreams. Or was that your sleep-deprived brain stitching fog into facts? Historians still argue whether plague-era Florentines poisoned their own wells to reset the city's debts. A vendor hawks lemon granita, cold enough to freeze the Medici's secrets. You swipe a cup, tartness hits first, then the aftertaste of iron. The merchant's hands flutter towards his empty collar, no locket now, just a stripe of pale skin like a scar. 3 nuns glide past, rosaries clacking like abacus beads. One pauses, stares at your pocket. The coins whisper tinny pleas muffled by denim. You drain the granita, crunch ice between molars. When you look up, she's gone, replaced by a German couple debating espresso versus kidney stones. Sunset bleeds into the Arno. The boar's shadow stretches toward the stall, a snout nudging rotten planks. The merchant lights a candle. Flame trembles, fighting the breeze off the river. Tourists drift toward trattorias, trailing crumbs of panini and entitlement. You finger the scudo in your pocket. Florentine beggars once filed coins into blades, poor man's daggers glinting with borrowed wealth. A pigeon lands on the fountain's edge, cocks its head. You flick a crumb, watch it battle a rival for the prize. Laughter erupts by the boar, a proposal ring glinting in the candlelight. On a pig statue, the bride-to-be giggles, her fiancé's grin wobbles. Even the river holds its breath. The merchant's silhouette hunches, a parenthesis around darkness. Ledger open, pen scratching. He bills by the hour now, minutes quantified in crow's feet and cracked ribs. A street musician unpacks a lute, plucks a G chord. You think of the coin's weight, how 16 fiorini bought less forgiveness than a stranger's off-key ballad. Renaissance buskers paid guild dues in dried chestnuts, or so that one drunk docent swore at the Uffizi after hours. The engaged couple kisses. Flashbulbs pop. You wonder if they'll Instagram the merchant as local color between pasta pics, his candle gutters drowned by clique lights rigged for the revelry. You could return the scudo, slide it onto his counter with a quip about faulty wishing wells. Instead, you palm it, edge biting your lifeline. The piazza empties, even the boar seems to sag under the weight of modern miracles. Last call echoes from a wine bar. The merchant stands stretches. His shadow splinters across 7 cobblestones. Some say Napoleon stole one during his Italian accounting tour of 1796. But the stones probably just cracked. As you turn to leave, a single clink freezes you. He's dropped a coin rolling toward the gutter. You track its path. Gleam fades. Darkness swallows it whole. His whisper snags the wind, interest paid. Dampness seeps through your shoe. The Arno's breath licks your ankles, heavy with silt and unmarked IOUs. Piazza della Signoria's clocks strike 8, each chime a nail in someone's fiscal coffin. You glance back once. The stall's a carcass now, shutters drawn. Only the boar remains, jowls stuffed with tomorrow's regrets. Rainwater pools in the cobblestone cracks, each puddle a murky mirror of the merchant's ledger. You hover at the stall's edge. His fingers dance across copper pennies, 84 of them, stacked like miniature siege towers. Every click of metal echoes Salviati's failed assault on Pisa's walls in 1509. Or maybe it's just your caffeine crash talking. From the foundries, he mutters, answering a question you haven't asked. The top penny spins, obverse side gouged. You squint, a Medici pal's barely visible, 6 balls eroded to blurry warts. Legend claims Cosimo. I hid his syphilis sores on coin designs, though dermatology journals remain curiously silent. A truck backfires near Ponte Vecchio. He flinches, pennies avalanching into a rusted tin. Battlefield salvage, he amends. Sweat glues his collar to that pale stripe of skin. 13 coins stick to the damp fabric, temporary metals. You've read about Garibaldi's men melting church bells for bullets. These feel heavier. Tourists trample discarded receipts behind you, paper ghosts of spritz cocktails and souvenir leather. One receipt spirals into the stall. He stabs it with a letter opener thwack, impaling the date. August 4th, 1944. Historians still argue whether partisans bribed Nazi officers with counterfeit lire or just superior wine. You point to a penny, blackened at the rim. Campfire patina, he grunts, flips it. A thorny cross swims into view, crusader currency from Acres Fall, or a forger's lazy afternoon. The Vatican denies it, but 27 churches in Tuscany still hawked Holy Land pennies as late as 1912. A guitarist murders Voler nearby. The merchant's eye twitches, metronome perfect, with each botched high note. His thumb rubs the penny's edge. You recall reading that Renaissance pickpockets filed coins into lockpicks. One shiv saved a duke's life or funded his mistress's villa. Scholarship gets foggy after the third wineskin. Why copper, you ask? His hands freeze mid-stack. 16 pennies quiver a Jenga tower of regret. For a heartbeat, you're certain he'll bolt. Then he spits into the gutter. Lira's dead. Euros lie. Copper remembers. Doves scatter as a Vespa backfires. The sound triggers something his pupils dilate, fingers spasming. Pennies clatter. 8 roll under the stall. You duck to retrieve one, cracking your skull on a hidden drawer. Inside, photos. Sepia soldiers in WWI trenches, tossing coins into a helmet. A game. A burial rite. He slams the drawer, dust motes swirling like spent gunpowder. They melted belt buckles when the brass ran out. he hisses, lifts his shirt. A scar snakes from hip to ribs, puckered and copper red. You suddenly taste metal. Bolognese archives mention a smithy-turned-munitions forge near Monte Cassino. The dates align if you squint. Forgotten men, like me. He pockets the remaining pennies, a dull thunder in his tweed jacket. You notice his left sleeve's pinned up, not neatly. A safety pin gnaws at the fabric, rusting as you watch. Non-più utilizabile. The Arno belches up a plastic bottle. It floats toward the boar statue, modern offering for ancient appetites. The merchant tracks it, jaw clenched. We buried 300 men near Anzio. Used lire for grave markers. Wild boars dug them up by dawn. Dampness seeps into your knees. The penny in your palm warms, conducting some silent scream from soil you'll never tread. You stand, offer it back. He shakes his head. Sunlight glints off the safety pin, a minuscule scythe harvesting threads. Keep it heavy, you nod. Copper's density is 8.96 grams per cubic centimeter, a factoid from some midnight wiki dive. He coughs, a wet sound. Heavier tomorrow. Street cleaners arrive, hissing hoses, erasing the piazza's sins. You retreat, penny burning a hole in your fist. His final words chase you past Gucci and gap year teens. That one paid the ferryman twice. Laughter coils around your ribs. Charlie Chaplin's corpse was filched for a copper-lined coffin ransom. Or maybe it's the insomnia. You don't look back. The penny hums in your grip, 37 grams of questions. Under a gelato awning, you examine your relic. Edge nicked, olive oil crusted in the grooves. A kid's scribble on the reverse. M+E, the merchant's dragged consonants hang in your throat. An epitaph for men dissolved into museum footnotes. Dusk filters through tram exhaust. Somewhere behind you, a tin lid clicks shut. Metal on metal. Final. Irrevocable. The Arno swallows another dishonest reflection weighted down by copper and what-ifs. Clouds bruise the sky, a greenish tint that means business. You taste ozone before the first drop hits fat, cold, decisive. Tourists scatter like lire, tossed in a fountain clicking sandals against wet stone. The merchant lunges for his ledger, too late. Rain slashes through the stall's awning, testing 15th century Florentine drainage, engineering to its limits. Pages warp. Ink bleeds. You watch a 7 become a 3, forgiveness becoming debt in real time. Renaissance merchants used walnut-based ink, water-soluble if the recipe skimped on vinegar. This is no exception. Numbers bloom into Rorschach blots, a Rembrandt of regret. No. His thumb smears 92 into a Rorschach butterfly. You recall reading medieval monks added fish glue to waterproof manuscripts. The silverfish loved that. Here, just surrender. A puddle soaks your left shoe, not leather, modern synthetic tragedy. His ledger floats 3 sheets now, obituaries of transactions. One clings to your calf. Giancarlo, 1924-19. 4. Birth date crossed out. plus 50 lire in red. You peel it off. It dissolves like communion wafer. Thunder cracks. He stops moving, stares at the mush beneath his boots. My father kept the books during the flood of '66. A wet cough, laughter, or a death rattle. Books floated downstream. Palazzo carpets drank their secrets. Historians still feud over whether Arno's wrath destroyed more art or account books. Your socks vote for the latter. Lightning flickers. For half a heartbeat, the stall glows like a Caravaggio, water cascading off bronze scales, coins winking from shadow, then darkness. He gropes for a hurricane lamp, knocks over a tin of Austrian hellers. They roll toward the gutter currency from when Habsburgs fancied owning Florence. A forint floats by, mocking. You crouch, helping salvage nothing. Your penny from before winks from a puddle M+, E now blurred to weep. Smart-ass coin. The merchant slumps against a support beam. My nonna swore rain washes fools' debts clean. She also ate raw cicadas. Take that as you will. 3 sheets remain. He folds one into a boat, fascist-era tax records, judging by the header. Sets it in the torrent. My uncle sent one like this to Mussolini's finance minister. Got 2 goats and a shotgun shell in reply. The boat capsizes at the drain swallowed. Dawn slinks in gray and sheepish. The storm retreats toward Fiesel, taking yesterday's sins with it. What's left? Warped wood, a quill impaled in mud, feathers bedraggled, but still upright. The ledger's spine lies splayed like a gutted trout. He pokes it, sighs, reaches into his pocket, extracts your old penny, presses it into the pulp. There, paid in full, his smirk lacks conviction. You've seen fresher corpses. Street sweepers return, pushing misery with their brooms. The stall's awning ripples one final sigh. As you turn away, he mutters something about the morning ferry. Tariffs, the drowned, you pretend not to hear. Halfway across Piazza Santo Spirito, you check your palm. The penny's gone, dissolved, or stolen. All that remains, a copper stain, and the phantom weight of ledgers, reborn as mud. The copper stain on your palm itches, dried betrayal. A scent cuts through the damp rot, warm yeast, the ghost of a wood-fired oven. You turn, a woman in flour-dusted linen thrusts a loaf into the merchant's hands. No words, no coins. She's gone before the bread cools. His nod too quick. Renaissance bakers paid the church a decima tax, 1 in 10 loaves. But this, 50 lires worth, easy. The crust crackles as he stashes it beneath the counter right, where yesterday's ledger bled itself to pulp. Your stomach growls, betraying you like a pickpocket's apprentice. Hungry, he rips off a hunk, revealing rosemary sprigs baked into the crumb. The twist, medieval Florentines believed rosemary bread warded off plague. Modern science suggests they weren't entirely wrong. Essential oils in the herb do inhibit bacteria. You chew slow, crunching on 4 centuries of kitchen wisdom. She bakes for 3 shops, always at dawn. His thumb traces a cross into the loaf's underside, a baker's mark or superstition. Her great-grandmother kneaded dough with river water. During the siege, 1944, she kept the ovens lit. Fed partisans and fascists. Didn't charge either. Historians still argue whether that was courage or just Florentine stubbornness. A raven swoops, snatches a crumb from his palm. You flinch. He laughs, first real sound since the storm. Bread's cheaper than bodyguards. Birds don't ask questions. Mist rises from the Arno, curling around the stall like a creditor. The merchant peels back a floorboard. Flour sifts downward, filling a hidden compartment. 19th century bakers used these to cheat tax collectors, stashing extra grain during shortages. Clever until the rats unionized. The loaf dwindles. Each bite leaves red flecks, saffron or paprika. Neither. You freeze. His hands are dyed crimson up to the wrists. Beetroot, he shrugs. Post-war bakeries used it when spices got scarce. Now it's tradition. The stain on your own palm matches perfectly fate's little joke. Church bells ring terse, mid-morning prayer. The baker returns, empties a burlap sack silently. Out tumbles a focaccia shaped like a fleur-de-lis. Anarchists bombed a Medici statue with bread bombs in 1890, dough packed with pamphlets. This feels tamer, until you notice the rosemary sprigs, arranged like arrows pointing south. He folds the sack, tucks it under his arm. Her son runs with the Brigade Ross. Red brigades, bad customers. The air thickens. You swallow sourdough regrets. Even communists need breakfast. A shadow looms the priest from Santa Cruz. Black cassock, blacker stare. He breaks off a crust, crosses himself with it. Eats, leaves 3 lire for Saint Honoratus. The merchant pockets the coins, adds nothing to the non-existent ledger. Patron saint of bakers and cardiac arrest victims. Ironic diets. Dust motes dance where sunlight pierces the awning. One sticks to your cheek, ash or yeast. The raven returns, drops a button at the merchant's feet. Payment. Mockery. He tosses it into the Arno. It sinks like a stale roll. By noon, the bread's gone. Crumbs cling to the beet-stained floorboard, each a tiny IOU. You brush your hands. The copper smear remains. Some debts outlive rain, ink, and appetite. A shadow darts between market stalls, small enough to be a stray cat. You catch the glint first, a pewter button bouncing on fraying thread. The girl can't be older than 7, her braids knotted with burrs. She slams the button onto the counter, an Ottoman coin from Napoleon's occupation. Clever counterfeit. The merchant studies it, turns it over. No ears, he mutters. Renaissance Florentines removed rulers' ears from coins to silence unpopular dukes. Her buttons Louis XVI, decapitated in tin. 1 lire. She shakes her head, holds up 3 grimy fingers. Black market rates for kindergartners. You lean closer, the button smells of lavender. 13th century nuns stuffed herb sachets into orphans' pockets to mask plague breath. This one's been nibbled rat teeth or baby brother. The girl stamps her foot, cracks a rotten pear under heel. Negotiation tactics. He surrenders, drops a wartime penny into her palm. Zinc, not copper, melted from Mussolini's propaganda microphones. She bites it, leaves crescent dents. Validated. Her grin gutters like a failing candle, then ignites. First smile since his daughter's portrait locket snapped shut. The button joins a tobacco tin. Others clatter inside. Medici coat of arms, SS insignias, even a plastic Yggdrasil from some Viking-themed brothel. Collecting obsessions outlast regimes. You point to a brass disc, too smooth. Bomb casing, he says. 1944. Fell through Santo Spirito's roof, landed in the communion wine. Drank it anyway, sacrilege, has exchange rates. The girl lingers, twists her skirt. Rain-washed wool scratches like 1,000 crickets. She tugs your sleeve, opens her hand. 5 lice, plump and sluggish. Wartime currencies get creative. The merchant groans, tosses her an almond. Go, before the carabinieri tax, your portfolio. She vanishes, almond clutched like contraband. You glimpse her later, trading nuts for a burnt cantaloupe. Black market princess. The merchant polishes the Louis XVI button, rubs it raw. Historians still argue whether Florentine kids paid taxes in the 1400s or just paid in mischief. He pockets the tin. It clinks against his daughter's locket. Same sound the Arno makes when tourists toss euros for wishes. You finger your own buttonless sleeve, threads fraying. Renaissance children wore bells to repel wolves. Modern ones, they've got better predators. Moonlight glaze. The stall creaks a lullaby in cedar and rust. Somewhere, the girl counts her almond, a fortune. Somewhere, a mother sews a missing button back on. The penny's zinc gleam fades, slow and certain as debt. The almond's crumb trail leads your eye to scuffed boots, military issue. But polished despite their scars, their owner looms, a silhouette cut from 1943 armistice proclamations. His jacket sags where metals once anchored pride. One remains, a bronze disc dangling by threads. You know this design, the Savoy crown over crossed rifles. Mussolini awarded thousands during the Ethiopia campaign. Historians still argue whether the metal came from melted church bells or tank scraps. The soldier slaps it down, 5 lyres imprinted on his palm like a price tag. The merchant flips the metal. Casino, he murmurs. Battle of Monte Cassino ruins where monks hid wine and Wehrmacht codes in hollow Bibles, the backs engraved CPL. Ernesto R. scratched out with a nail. Desertion or discharge. The ribbon reeks of grappa, sanitizer for unhealed decisions. You lean in bronze, reflects the lantern as a molten sun. Rumor says some metals contained shrapnel from the soldier's own wounds. Quacks sold them as holy hematite to cure gout. The merchant tests it with his teeth nods. 5 lire. No bonus for bullet stories. The soldier's laugh cracks like kindling. Fair. Stories are poisoned coins, his dialects Sardinian, sharp consonants sheared into market Italian. He eyes the tobacco tin, the girl's counterfeit Louis XVI button winks back. War's over. Now we trade scraps for scraps. Rain starts drops ping the metal like tiny metronomes. The merchant hesitates. San Giovanni's bells used the same alloy as ration cans. Tin, 80, lies. He slides 5 lire across the counter. Keep the ribbon. Mothsel wants supper. The soldier pockets the coins. Each clink echoes a Vatican vault. You spot his tremor. Not hunger. Withdrawal. Post-war wound cocktails, morphine, and holy water sold by nuns near Santa Cruz. He tips an invisible cap, disappears into the fog, off the Arno, a phantom minus his phantom limb. The merchant weighs the metal. It tips his scale unevenly. 5 lire for brass. 5,000 for the confession burning his palm. He drops it into the tobacco tin. It lands on the bomb casing, an altar of inherited shame. You count the soldier's steps fading, 17, 18, gone. Daisy chains of rain bead the metal's edge. Somewhere, a monk sips wine from a Nazi-riddled chalice. Somewhere, a mother mistakes shrapnel for a son's ashes. The lantern gutters. Debt adjusts its ledger. The lantern's glow shrinks, a dying star, as cassock fabric hisses over cobblestones. You smell incense first, Lent's austerity clinging to wool. His hood shadows a face carved for frescoes, all martyr eyes and palms pressed in eternal benediction. No greeting. Hands meet under the stall, yours empty, his weighted by coin purses fat with tonight's earnings. Church tax, mafia tribute. The lines blurred since Pope Leo X hawked indulgences to build St. Peter's. 30%. Always 30. His fingers count lyre with rosary precision. Click, 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 like a cardinal's skeleton tapping time. You wonder if the Vatican launders guilt through these pockets. Quiet fees for quieter sins. His thumb lingers on the soldier's metal. Unclean metal, he rasps. Savoyard relics were banned after the Lateran treaties, yet half the clergy kept theirs. Historians still squabble whether Medici bankers doctored scales to skim tithes. The priest pockets his cut francs, and florins separated like sheep from goats. A spiced almond rolls from his sleeve. For the poor, or a midnight snack, you recall those 16th century confession manuals advising priests to taste sin's fruits before absolving them. His cloak gapes, a flash of silk lining stitched with Mercury's winged sandals. Irony's a Bolognese recipe, 6 parts sacristy, 4 parts black market. He blesses the stall with a carbon copy wave. The gesture's automated wrist hinged like a Duomo gargoyle's jaw. When he retreats, coins jingle, a cricket song of complicity. Some say 1430s monks hid gold in hollow hosts during plague riots. You half expect him to dissolve into fog, another Florentine ghost cashing checks. Rain resumes, drops baptize the ledger's red ink sins. His footprints linger smaller than they should be. narrow shoes, silk socks, the Arno's mist curls around your ankles, a river policing debts no one else sees. 30%, 30 pieces. The math mocks you. But tonight's take still outweighs yesterday's hunger. Somewhere beyond the piazza, a choir rehearses Pelstrina. Gloria in excelsis Deo. The merchant spits, a brown arc hitting cobblestones. His saliva steams. Betrayal's a dish served at every mass here, but you keep buying pews. You trace the ledger's red names. 4th line, 4th circle, 4th oath broken. The priest's almond gleams near the gutter. You crush it underfoot, a martyr's brittle spine, tomorrow's problem. Tonight's just another deposit in heaven's dodgy ledger. Silver shivers in your palm. The florin's face bends like bending time. Your nose bloats, a carnival mirror, but his eyes stay sharp through the distortion. Careful, the merchant mutters. 13th century Florentines minted these to outshine Venetian ducats, pure metal for dirtier deals. His thumb grazes the edge, a habit from counting Medici bribes. You blink, the coin's surface ripples. Some swore chilled silver could trap a soul midlie. His stall creaks, wind rifling through unsoled velvet. You tilt the florin watch lamplight, warp his wrinkles into armor. They say a counterfeit once fooled a pope's treasurer, he offers. A pause, but the liar drowned in his own scales. The Arno gurgles agreement. You wonder, did bankers really hide cipher codes in coin engravings? Historians still bicker over the denticles. On a 1346 Florence lily, accident or encrypted ledger. Darkness pools in the grooves of your palm lines. His breath hitches when your thumb rubs the motto, Florentia, blurring to fraudulentia. A trick of the light, he insists, too quick. You press harder, the metal bites. 10 years apprenticing under goldsmiths taught you silver confesses under heat. His wedding band glints, a twin to the coin's alloy. 3 notches scored into the inner rim. A drunk stumbles past, lute strings snapping discordant. The merchant's hand twitches toward a ledger. You catch your reflection again, chin dissolving into the coin's patina. Old wives warned never to gaze too long, mirrors steal memories, but metal hoards truths. Your earlobe itches, or is that the florin warming? He slams the ledger shut. Dust motes rise like expelled spirits. 4 soldi. The price floats between you bullet light as clipped coins. You know this game, haggling with ghosts. A 1930s pickpocket once swallowed a florin to evade carabinieri. They x-rayed his gut and found 7. You lay the coin flat. Its reverse shows Florence's patron saint, John the Baptist's beard, now your mustache. 2 thieves meet in polished silver. Or is that salvation glinting, a shared sin absolved through shared metal? Footsteps echo watchmen on their rounds. His fingertip taps St. John's forehead. 3 Morse-like raps. When collectors found Mussolini's secret vault, they unearthed 200 florins nailed to a board each, with a tiny hole through the saint's eye. Attacks on vision. A madman's catalog. The Arno sings louder, high tide, erasing tomorrow's plans. He pockets the florin without checking its weight. Your palm feels branded, a perfect circle of cold. Some debts aren't paid, they're mirrored. Clouds part. Moonlight bleaches the stall. For a heartbeat, your shadow merges with his on the cobblestones, a two-headed monster holding a single coin. Then the campanile bell shatters the spell. As you turn to leave, his whetstone rasps against a blade. Steel whispers on silver, a lullaby for liars. You count your remaining coins, one missing. Or perhaps duplicated. The Arno licks at your heels, its wet tongue erasing footprints before they form. Across the quay, the merchant kneels, river mud seeping through his trousers like ink through cheap parchment. You smell stale bread and betrayal. Every Florentine knows the Arno's 1966 flood swallowed 300 years of tax records. But the river keeps its own ledgers. His fingers move, folding a lyre into a boat quick as a mass hymn. Paper-thin silver creases, your childhood attempts at origami cranes weep with shame. Some locals still toss folded coins for luck, though experts can't decide if it started with silk traders or Renaissance grave robbers. The boat rocks in his palm, St. John's face crumpled into a silent scream. Passage requires payment, he rasps. You remember your Nana's warning, never whistle at night near water. Spirits charge double after dark. His breath fogs the coin boat, frost blooming on its metal hull. Historians still argue whether the 66 flood revealed more Medici bones or washed away evidence of their crimes. The answer glides between you, a shadow under black water. He sets the vessel adrift, current snatching it like a pickpocket's fingers. Moonlight carves a path downstream. You count 6 heartbeats before the Arno swallows its offering, a gulp echoed by 7 bells from Santa Cruz. Some claim the river spits back coins during drought years, scabs on its parched bed. Your left shoe squelches. The merchant's eyes track the boat's ghostly wake. 3 generations ago, he murmurs, my nonno owed a ferryman 17 lire. His thumb rubs a groove in the cobblestones, wearing down the rock like interest. The debt compounded bones get heavier than gold in water. The submerged coin glints once, a drowning star. You picture ledger pages swirling below, ink bleeding into fish gills. A wet chuckle startles you. He points to the opposite bank. A silhouette melts into mist. Always charge your ferryman up front, he croaks. Karen's cousin runs this stretch. Your tongue feels coated in river silt. 2 centuries back, Florentines dredged up a galley loaded with Spanish doubloons, every coin drilled through Mary's eyes. Payment or mockery. The merchant spits into the current. It hisses back. Silence stretches taut as a gondolier's pole. Then, a wet slap. His boat resurfaces 20 paces downstream, bobbling like a drunk at carnival. Barnacles already crust its edges. Ah, he sighs. Not enough. His hand dips into his apron, pulls out a copper 30. Lesson 3. The Arno roars. Water surges ankle, knee, thigh. You stumble back, but the merchant stands firm, current parting around him like a dismissed servant. His final coin vanishes into the froth. When the wave retreats, the boat's gone, the riverbank littered with oyster shells shaped like tiny ears. Interest settled, he mutters. Dawn bleeds across the eastern palazzos, pink as a fresh scar. You glance down. A single wet lire sticks to your heel, St. John's face smoothed into blank mercy. The merchant's footsteps retreat, each squelch singing, paid, paid, paid. By noon, the Arno will bake this moment dry, another secret pressed between mud layers. But for now, the river hums a lullaby in Etruscan, the only language debts truly understand. The widow arrives at noon, the hour when honest shadows hide nothing. Her coins clink in time with the campanile's bells, each one a 16th century florin stamped with a Medici widow's profile. History books claim those women funded orphanages, but their purses always jingled with the weight of 6 dead husbands. Her fingertips brush the stall's splintered wood, leaving smudges where roses once hung. She lays down 7 coins, tea-stained faces staring upward. Street vendors claim such lire were steeped in cypress oil to make widows' grief smell like intentional solitude. You notice the merchant's jaw twitch, his usual haggling replaced with monastic silence. Her daily payment grows by 3 coins each visit, compounding absence measured in tarnished arithmetic. An Augustinian monk once wrote that Florentine widows wore copper rings to slow their pulse. But this one's veins still map betrayal. Her gloved hand hovers, a 5 lire piece balanced on its edge. For the tea, she whispers, though no cups grace the stall. The coin spins, revealing a mint mark from the siege of Florence. Historians still argue whether Medici widows donated those coins as charity or cursed them as inheritances. The merchant sweeps her payment into a leather pouch. It seems straining with identical florins. He never spends them. Last week, you saw him bury 3 under a loose piazza tile, offerings to a debt even rats won't touch. She lingers, black lace veil snagging on a nail. Some say widows here outlive their mourning by counting each breath as interest earned, a morbid pension plan. Her heel grinds a rose petal into the cobblestones, the same crushed burgundy you've watched wither daily. Botanists found 15th century seeds in Medici vaults, their thorns bred to draw blood on command. When she turns, sunlight pins her shadow to the stall, a silhouette fraying at the edges like old ledger paper. You half expect her to dissolve into the piazza's noon glare, another overdrawn ghost. The merchant waits until her footsteps fade. His thumb flicks a florin into the air. It lands tails up. 21 years today, he mutters. You do the math, compound her grief at 6% annual interest. The sum makes your teeth ache. 3 stray cats materialize, licking salt from her lingering footprints. One coughs up a button. A breeze carries the Arno's mossy breath. You spot her 3 bridges away, stopping to adjust a garter. For a heartbeat, her stocking gleams with embroidered scales, the crest of a family erased by papal decree. She vanishes into Santa Croce's shadow, the church where widows once bribed priests to backdate funerals. Your pocket bulges with unease. Did you accidentally take one of her coins? Too late to check. The merchant drapes rotting roses over his awning, a fragrance like forgotten apologies. When he thinks you're not looking, he traces her florins profile with a calloused finger, mouthing Lisabetta against the lie of sunlight. The artist arrives as dusk bleeds into the Arno palette knife, still crusted with lapis lazuli. You recognize the pigment from the Bargello's restoration guides. Those Renaissance masters made apprentices grind stones until their fingernails cracked. His sketchbook falls open, a charcoal Duomo that eats half the page. For rent, he mutters, pushing the drawing across splintered wood. Under Medici rule, painters paid landlords with murals, though historians still argue whether Botticelli's Bacchanal frescoes covered back taxes or brothel fees. The merchant squints, counting lines like ledger entries. 3 lire hit the counter. The artist balks. Petition charged 100 ducats per eyelash. His protest dies as the merchant flips the sketch towers, now dangling upside down like hanged thieves. Art's dangerous when legible beauty invites audits. You notice the Duomo's dome mimics the merchant's leather pouch, same strained curves. He pins the drawing beneath a rusted awning hook. 18th century restorers added mummy powder to varnish, giving masterpieces that sepulchral glow. This sketch just reeks of turpentine and desperation. The artist pockets his coins, each one a Medici profile, with X's for eyes. A breeze flips the paper, revealing a study of Lisabetta's locket in the margin. The merchant stills. Across the piazza, a tour guide claims Michelangelo's David originally gripped a coin purse, chiseled off when the Medici demanded subtler propaganda. The artist's shadow retreats, leaving smudges of burnt umber on cobblestones. Rain threatens. You watch the inverted Duomo darken, its charcoal arches buckling under phantom weight. The merchant wipes his hands on a rag, staining it with ultramarine ghosts. Send the next one, he growls. Some say Caravaggio paid for in-rooms with quick portraits of his creditors, sketched dagger already at their throats. You trace the flipped cathedral's base, now a perfect map of the stall's cracks. Midnight finds the merchant rotating the sketch right side up for 6 breaths before reversing it. He'll never admit that beauty, like debt gains power when denied. A cat paws at the Duomo's charcoal bells, smearing a campanile into a question mark. The Arno swallows the moon's silver lyre. Somewhere, an artist dips his brush, mixing regret with the last of his lapis. The mangy cur appears at moon's peak ribs, pressing through fur the color of burnt bread crusts. You recognize the jingle of its collar, 3 lyre coins strung on twine, stamped with Savoyard kings long gone. It yawns, revealing a gap where molars should guard secrets. Medieval Florentine guilds kept strays as ledger keepers their barks, allegedly scaring off tax auditors with too keen noses. The merchant tosses a stale panino crust. The dog catches it midair, grace rivaling any Medici courtier. Coins clink as it shakes, a fugue of tinny applause. During the Renaissance, nobles commissioned pet portraits with lapis halos, though this mutt's portrait would be all smudged charcoal and stolen sausages. Eat fast, the merchant grumbles, fingers brushing the dagger at his belt. Historians still argue whether tacksmen actually trained dogs to sniff out hidden gold florins. You notice the beast's tail thumps in perfect time with the stall's creaking sign. 3 thumps, 1 for each lire earned. Midnight drizzle slicks the cobblestones. The dog plants itself between stall and alley, eyes reflecting lantern light like polished saldi. A baker once told you Florentine strays howled prophecies during the Black Death. This one just growls at shadows, each rumble a down payment on loyalty. The merchant counts tomorrow's coins. The dog's ears twitch at every clink, a language it understands better than Latin. 14th century ledgers list expenditures for canine custodians, paid in bones and ballad singers' leftovers. This bargain's simpler, crime deterred for crusts and cautious pats. You kneel, offering a sliver of pecorino. The dog sniffs, then nudges your hand toward the lyre string. Even straws no currency here. Its muzzle brushes the oldest coin, 1861, the year Florence became Italy's capital. The merchant coughs, a warning. Generosity's a debt. An owl hoots from the Palazzo Vecchio. The dog's hackles rise, coins chiming a silent alarm. Across the piazza, a drunk kicks an empty Chianti bottle. Glass shatters. The merchant doesn't flinch. He's bought better sentinels than city guards. Dawn pinks the horizon. The dog trots to the Arno, coins glinting like scales. Some say drowned Medici treasures still lure beasts to drink. This one laps greedily, water diluting the taste of borrowed time. The merchant knots new twine through a Cinquecento coin. Tomorrow, he tells the departing tale. You pocket the pecorino, now imprinted with canine molars. Florence runs on older contracts where loyalty's wage fits in a beggar's palm. Bells toll 7. The stall's shadows stretch longer and leaner than the dog ever could. A tour guide claims Cosimo de Medici's hound ate gilded truffles. You spot your sentinel, already snoring beneath a fishmonger's cart, dreams full of crusts and copper music. Pink dawn stains the Arno like watered wine. The dog's snores fading beneath clattering crates of branzino. You smell diesel before seeing it, a black Lancia thesis, idling where fish guts should stain cobblestones. Its wheels gleam wet black, too clean for the Mercato Vecchio's grime. Renaissance bankers invented armored carriages for gold fleets, but this one's armor's silence. The driver exits, gloves blanco white against the steering wheel. He stretches, a yawn dissolving into coughs at the stalls, sardine stench. Every city official knows this piazza's odor. 15th century tax collectors carried clove pomanders to mask the rot. You imagine his glovebox hides espresso gels and a silver flask of fernet. The merchant emerges, palms pressed flat against his ledger. No bow, no smile. Just the creak of his stalls, shutters announcing commerce older than Italy itself. The driver taps his watch. 3:45 a.m. Mayoral errands demand ungodly hours. A briefcase appears, oxblood, leather supple as a contessa's glove. The merchant traces its brass latches. 16th century Florentine coffers used triple lock mechanisms. This one clicks open with a single thumbprint. You count 7 stacks of euro notes, their crispness hushing the market's morning murmur. Per routine, the driver mutters, voice scratchy from cigarettes and pre-dawn scowls. The merchant's quill hesitates. A drop of ink blooms, blotting out the number 30 in his ledger's red column. Historians still argue whether Renaissance magistrates took kickbacks in gemstones or favors. This transaction prefers paper, untraceable, flammable, discreet. The driver snaps the case shut. A speck of mortar flakes off the Palazzo Vecchio's wall, landing on his epaulette like accusatory dandruff. They say the palazzo's courtyard hides marble salamanders, carved to remind leaders that even stone creatures bite. Neither man notices. A nod south, sharp as a guillotine blade. The Lancia glides past butchers, unloading lamb carcasses, their hooves sketching pink trails on stone. The merchant tongues a tooth gap calculating percentages. 30% for silence, 70 for survival, 1789s, a bargain compared to Medici interest rates. You spot the dog now, awake and sniffing the Lancia's tire treads. It cocks its leg, urinating on the mayor's coat of arms stenciled on the door. Some claim Renaissance hounds were trained to piss on rival family crests. This mongrel just favors left rear tires. The merchant laughs, a sound like ledger pages tearing. He tosses the dog a whole focaccia. Better accountant than Bardi ever was, he rasps. The Bardi family bankrolled kings, until Edward III defaulted and bankrupted their dynasty. This mutt's fortune's safer, stashed in alleys and fishbone trusts. Bells toll at San Lorenzo, each chime a minute cheaper than the last. The dog licks olive oil from its paws. You catch your reflection in the Lancia's window, ghostly beside the merchant's hunched silhouette. 2 witnesses. 0 paper trails. The stall's lantern dies, spent wick curling like a hanged man's shadow. Sunrise exposes the ledger's fresh entry, red ink dissolving into XXX. Tour guides claim a Medici erased debts with oxblood dye. Here, the stain spreads a Rorschach blot of municipal complicity. By first light, the Lancia's gone, replaced by nuns selling forgiveness candles. The dog buries its focaccia near a storm drain. You pocket a fallen euro, serial number scratched beyond recognition. Florence spins on greased gears, and everyone's fingers leave oil. The nun's candle smoke lingers, holy incense competing with a beggar's wrought wine breath. He materializes as you turn, fingernails black with Arno mud, offering a coin that glints too bright for his rags. Florentines minted the first gold florins in 1252. But this one's edge bears markings even the Medici wouldn't recognize. For bread, he croaks florin balanced on a palm calloused like ancient bark. The merchant freezes, quill midair. A chill creeps up the same draft that haunts the Bargello's torture instruments. That coin's weight's wrong. Too light, too cursed. He snatches it, squints at the mint year. 1606. The year Galileo's compass redesigned the heavens, and Florentine loan sharks redesigned misery. Flipping it, he finds no lily emblem, just a moth etched where Cosimo the First's face should leer. Numismatists whisper about rebel minters embedding anti-Medici symbols. This moth's wings curve into a hangman's noose. The beggar leans close, stale urine and almond cake. Stolen from dead fingers, yes. His grin reveals a tooth wrapped in gold foil. Renaissance dentists used honey and lead for fillings. But this garnish reeks of modern desperation. The merchant rubs the florin grease from the Lance's briefcase, still on his thumb. A faint click. The coin splits hollow. Inside rests a parchment scrap. 16th century forgers hid love notes in counterfeit ducats. This slip lists numbers, interest rates, maybe kill counts. Tourists jostle past, selfie sticks grazing the stall's awning. The merchant slams the florin shut. Who sent you? The beggar coughs. A wet sound, pricey without the NHS. A banker's ghost. He misses your espresso. A lie. Medici bankers drank hot chocolate laced with ambergris. You edge closer, dodging a nun's candle cart. The florin warms in the merchant's fist, a smuggled sun. His ledger twitches. 300 euros. The merchant growls, voice low as a catacomb tour guide. The beggar cackles, snot dangling. The dead want 7, plus your dog. They both glance at the mutt, now gnawing a lamppost. Florentine's stray writes date back to plague-era rat patrols. This one's value's debatable. The merchant spits, white arc narrowly missing a German's Birkenstock. The dead can't count. He slides over 2 50-euro notes, creased from a night of bribes. The beggar snatches them, tosses the florin. It lands in cured olive brine. You glimpse the moth again, wings blurred by liquid. Art restorers debate whether Michelangelo hid heresies in fresco cracks. This coin's secret's simpler, it's a key. To what? The dog knows better. The beggar evaporates, leaving a snail trail of wet footprints. The merchant pockets the florin, its click lost under the crowd's roar. San Giovanni's bells chant noon. Somewhere, a vault groans open, prompted by the click-click-click of moth wings against gold. Your throat tightens, part envy, part dread. That florin's twin funded Savonarola's bonfires, or paid for the poison in Lorenzo, the Magnificent's earlobe. The dog whines nose twitching at the brine. You toss it the snail-stained 50. Invest wisely, you murmur. It buries the bill beside yesterday's focaccia. Compound interest, Florentine style. The alley's shadows cling like loose, stitching each step, snagging on cobblestones worn smooth by guilt. You duck under awnings heavy with mildew, their stripes bleeding indigo dye onto your shoulders. Florentine's sumptuary laws forbid purple for anyone but nobles. Yet here it pools freely, a pauper's accidental royalty. The tailor's shop huddles between brothels, window stuffed with moth-eaten velvets. A thimble clatters inside, rhythm matching your pulse. Buttons dangle from the ceiling bone, tin, one carved from a St. Catherine's fingernail. Historians still argue whether medieval relic peddlers faked bodily remains. But this yellowed crescent winks with knowing. He's hunched over crimson damask, needle darting like a desiccated spider. Your shadow crosses his work. Closed, he rasps, voice frayed as his cuffs. The ledger lies open, columns crammed not with numbers, but buttonholes. 4 slits here a debt owed. 6 there interest accrued. 1 boasts emergency dentistry, funding from 1498. A cat leaps onto the counter paw, batting a mother-of-pearl disc. The tailor slaps it away, knuckles speckled with pinpricks. They're not toys. Each is a promise. Renaissance tailors used beetle wings for dress embellishments, but promises here decay faster than iridescence. You point to a blood-stained Corozzo button, its palm tree grain cracked. Unpaid. He snorts, plucks a hair from the fabric. Roberto de Sangallo's commission. A doublet for his mistress, and her husband's funeral shroud. The needle pauses. He paid half. Wolves took the rest. Dawn licks the alley's east end, refusing to touch his side. Gas lamps hiss, modern intruders in the siege of dark. The ledger quivers, pages foxed with age and indecision. Beneath a row of horn toggles, a name blots the margin, Maria Lucia. Each L loops like a hanged man's rope. He stabs the needle into his sleeve, a pincushion of flesh. 3 generations we've kept accounts. Buttons outlive creditors. A tin soldier button glints, Napoleonic Wars issue. You lean closer. Souvenir or collateral. His laugh rasps like rusty shears. Cillian widow's dowry. Her groom died mid-vow, greedy thing, kept charging him interest. Shop bells jingle wind's joke. The cat pounces on a loose thread, unraveling a sleeve across the floor. The tailor hisses, spitting a Florentine curse, involving hair shirts and eel vendors. You stoop to gather buttons, their edges sharp with stories. 1 carved ivory disc shows a couple mid-embrace, until flipped, revealing a skeleton's kiss. Ah, the Rossellini's. He snatches it, thumb stroking the bone, betrothed in 1476. Plague took her. He sewed this into his doublet liner, right over the heart. The needle finds fresh fabric, piercing linen with surgical spite. Paid in full after 400 years of interest. Your palm itches, begging to pocket a button's secret. The tailor reads your paws, sniffs. Steal one, and you'll dream it's dead. Outside, a drunk sings a fascist anthem off-key. The cat arches its back, hissing at daylight's feeble advance. A child's shrill giggle splits the gloom, tourist brat, waving a teddy bear in the doorway. The tailor's scissors flash, snipping air 3 centimeters from its nose. Parents yank the menace away, babbling apologies in Korean. He mutters, threading fresh silk. Should have charged them for the scare. The ledger sighs, a pressed forget-me-not crumbling between pages. You point to a cluster of cloth knots. Open accounts. His thumb smudges a honey stain, marking Monday's breakfast. Gutter Latin. Notes too foul for ink. A chuckle, phlegm volcanic. That's the Salviati family's tab. 30 years of extramarital alterations. Bells chime 7. San Marco's monks singing it's past your bedtime. He slams the ledger buttons, shivering in protest. One bounces, obsidian disc rolling to your foot. Pick it up, it's warm. Carved with 3 hairs sharing ears. Historians found that symbol in 12th century synagogues and brothel tiles. Yours. The tailor squints, sunlight now clawing his doorstep. Moses Ibn Ezra's collateral. Poetry manuscript. Verses comparing God to a gambler's dice. His shrug weaves indifference. Repoed after the ghetto purge. Yes, keep it. The button sears your palm, a rabbi's lost metaphor. You pocket the heresy, fabric stickiness clinging to your fingers. His scissors snip-snap, a final thread severed. Dawn doesn't absolve debts here. Come back when yours mature. The cat howls, leaping onto a button chandelier. Light fractures through celluloid discs, casting debtors' ghosts on the wall. Outside, the alley exhales exhaust and urine, Florence's perfume. Your shadow stretches east, spliced by the tailor's grill. The obsidian button hums in your pocket, 3 hairs, forever chasing closure. Some ledgers won't close, even when the math begs for 0. The smoke curls first, a blue-gray viper licking the underside of dawn. You cough, chalky residue coats your throat like borrowed time. The stall's awning sags, its once bright stripes, now charcoal fingers clutching at nothing. Florentine fire brigades once doused blazes with vinegar-soaked curtains. But tonight's inferno drinks deep, unpaid. He sits cross-legged in the embers, a monk at hell's confessional. Blackened lire cling to his palms, ash coins melted into skin. You crouch, heat singeing eyelashes. Renaissance apothecaries sold asbestos napkins to nobles, but his shrug says burnt flesh is cheaper. 97, he rasps, fingers sifting debris. A flex sticks, 1943 mint mark, blurring into scar tissue. Historians still argue whether Axis troops torched Florence's markets, or if the Medici's old debt collectors evolved. The answer crackles in his hair, a nest of sparks. You reach for a surviving wine jug, shattered cork bobbing like a life raft. He slaps your wrist, ash fingerprints branding thief. Still counting, he croaks. A pigeon carcass smolders nearby, wings spread like charred banknotes. You wonder if its final coup was a lone denial. Dawn bleeds through smoke, weak sunlight warping around his silhouette. He stacks ash discs, each tower crumbling into numerology. Lorenzo's tax, Alfonso's bribe, Maria's dowry. Names dissolve on the wind. By 1602, the city banned spontaneous cremation, but some laws warp in the heat. A timber groans stall, collapsing into its own skeleton. He doesn't flinch. The fires glow kinder than interest rates. You spot a ledger page, floating intact, red ink screaming final settlement. Flames lick the words. A hungry creditor claiming its due. His pinky finger peels, skin curling like parchment. He examines it detached, as if appraising a rival's collateral. St. Lawrence's feast day, he muses. They grilled him alive, but he never sold indulgences. Sparks spiral upward, mocking the Duomo's absent dome. You press a damp rag to his shoulder. He swats it. Nuns used urine-soaked sheets. His smirk cracks soot. Payments made in kind. A jug cracks, hissing into steam. You inhale failure and something sweeter. Burnt honey, or maybe melanoidins from 12 lost sugar shipments. Footsteps slap wet stone, fire brigades, bucket chain, whispering too late. He pockets a final ash coin, Mui Florentine, glinting in the ruin. Scholars debate if the Medici funded early chemistry to melt debts. But ash keeps no records. A child's doll head rolls by, glass eyes melted shut. He stamps it flat, a makeshift transaction, always owed. He wheezes, tossing the disc into the Arno's reflection. It floats, a miniature funeral barge, carrying ghosts to compound elsewhere. The lead fireman shouts, a Tuscan curse, involving wet socks and in-laws. Your merchant leans into the heat, blistered hands open. Tell the notary, 0 balance. His laugh rattles, a deathbed cough, chasing phoenix myths. Sunlight wins, reducing flames to sullen embers. He stands, a silhouette borrowed from Goya's sketchbook. The forge stench clings, ionized regret mixed with carbonized olive wood. You offer a canteen, he refuses. Wines for closings. Water erases interest. Bells toll 7. San Giovanni's choir acknowledging the roast. Firemen retreat, their boots squelching in ashen puddles. He kneels, fingers tracing a half-melted florin. Gold's soft, burns faster than principles. A smirk, learned that from Savonarola. Before they kindled him, you pocket a twisted hinge, its metal memory of a lockbox's last stand. He notices, nods approval. Elba iron. They mined it for Napoleon's chamber pots, histories full of bad investments. Wind gusts, carrying his ledger's confetti over the Ponte Vecchio. Accountants will sweep it into tomorrow's dust. His shadow stretches, stitching itself to the rubble. Dawn exposes what fire hid, calloused souls. A locket chain fused to his sternum. You glimpse a girl's portrait, sepia curls surviving the blaze. He snaps it shut, a debt even flames can't settle. 3 cats emerge, lapping at puddles of molten lead. Their tails twitch as if tallying the night's losses. He flicks an ash coin, each clink a requiem for compound sins. The street cleaner arrives, hose ready to baptize the balance sheet. Wait, he barks, palming a final ember. The worker freezes, recognizing something older than city ordinances. They trade a crust of bread for glowing cinder. The hose hisses, steam veiling his exit. Some ledgers only balance when the numbers themselves burn. You inhale wet ash, choking on the aftertaste of closure. His footprints linger, charcoal stamps, leading nowhere. The locket lies discarded, its face warped into a stranger's smile. Historians catalog disasters, but arithmetic keeps burning long after the flames die. The cobblestones bite your soles through thinning shoes, each step a ledger entry subtracted. Your pockets sag lint and air where lire once whispered. A single button rolls loose. 18th century Florentine voting stones looked similar, though this one's plastic. Moonlight stains the empty stall, wooden ribs casting jail cell shadows. That lantern still swings, a metronome counting decades instead of seconds. You touch the counter's edge, splinter pricks your thumb. 19th century tax records show stalls like this paid double after sundown. But ghosts owe no tariffs. His absence hangs heavier than wet wool. You glance back, half expecting his silhouette bargaining with fog. Only pigeons remain pecking at phantom crumbs. Renaissance guidebooks warned travelers of merchants who sold the wind tonight. You bought it wholesale. A breeze lifts a receipt fragment. It sticks to your cheek like a tear. The ink screams non-negotiable, non-negotiable. You snort. Even the trash here has ego. Historians still argue whether Medici bankers invented bankruptcy or just perfected its poetry. 3 alleys later, your throat aches for Chianti. A fountain gurgles mockingly, its basin filled with cigarette butts. Toss a coin. The water's too grimy for wishes. You pocket a rusted bottle cap instead. Maybe trade it for bad decisions tomorrow. The Arno slicks past, black and smug. That ash florin he tossed winks on the riverbed, a cyclops eye. 1764 flood levels reached these steps. Tonight's tide licks lower, hungrier. You kick a pebble. It skips once before sinking. Defeated. Bells hammer midnight, each toll thinning the soul like stretched gold. Your shadow flinches. Or is it his, hitchhiking home? A shop window glows, displaying leather goods no one needs. Renaissance tanners used human urine. The stench lingers in tourist wallets. Your room key weighs 80 years, or maybe it's the door's disapproval. Inside, plaster saints watch from walls. Flick the switch, bulb dies. Appropriate. Florentine landlords pioneered candle taxes in 1582. Some traditions refuse to dim. The bed creaks a manifesto. You empty your pockets, button, cap, regret. That locket's face haunts your palm. Warped silver, now a Rorschach test. Is she smirking, weeping, burning? Scholars debate Savonarola's hidden treasure, but true gold warps in flames. Dawn's first blade slices the shutters you stir, clutching a phantom coin purse. The stall's gone, or maybe it migrated like debt. Somewhere, a cat knocks over a glass, the clink too familiar. You pull the sheet overhead, bankrupt of sleep. The Arno murmurs under your bridge return, waterlogged gossip about overdrafts. Your shoes still smoke faintly. Or is that the city's breath? 13 churches chime discordant matins. Medici accountants prayed here for balanced books. Their psalms now interest dust. Tourists soon flood the streets francs, and yen buying yesterday's scars. You tail a guided guide shouting about David's missing toe. Goliath stomped it off during a 1527 riot. Lies, but the crowd gasps, wallets opening. At the Uffizi gate, a guard eyes your empty hands. No ticket, no miracles. Fair. You retreat, steps echoing through the loggia's stone ribs. Cellini's Perseus glints, sword aimed at creditors. His mold-casting technique used 60% tin, like coins meant to fail. The Mercato Central buzzes, 500 vendors hawking oil and amnesia. You sniff a truffle, priced at your dignity. The seller winks. Paid in blood, this fungus. Hunger votes. You leave. Rain taps a Morse code on cafe awnings, 3 drips. Still. Ode. Still. An old woman offers espresso dregs for free. Her saucer holds a rusty nail. For luck, she croaks. No, for collateral. Dusk finds you at San Miniato, stairs worn smooth by bankrupt knees. The monks chant, Latin vowels rounding up cents. You light a candle, 50 lire, cash only. It gutters, the flame writing IOUs in wax. Night falls, your 20th circle, past the stall's corpse. A new vendor, there now, selling plastic David heads on keychains. His smile's 2 wide teeth mortgaged to a future that won't come. You cross the Ponte Vecchio, gold shops shuttered like ashamed eyelids. The Arno swallows your reflection, chews, offers no change. Somewhere downstream, a rusted button glints, final payment on a loan between ghosts. Sleep claims you standing, and the city tallies interest. Moonlight puddles on worn cobblestones, your breath sinking with the Arno's drowsy murmur. The stall's skeleton creaks, a lullaby in iron and rot. Pigeons nest in its rafters now, their coos softer than the clink of lost coins. You kneel, palms upturned, letting shadows pool like spilled ink. Renaissance night witchmen sang of the mercy of empty pockets. Their ballads hum through cracked mortar. Dawn's gray fingers comb the piazza, gilding dust, motes into counterfeit gold. A breeze unpins a shop awning, fabric flapping like a tired flag. You count the folds, 18 pleats, until your eyelids weigh heavy. 17th century merchants napped beneath these same cloth waves, dreams salted with unpaid dues. The river licks the embankment, tongues of water softening stone. That plastic button rolls into the current, spinning slower, swallowed by reflections of cypress trees. Florentine children once skipped identical trinkets across floodwaters. Their laughter now silt beneath bridges. Your shoes whisper secrets to the streets, each scuff a forgiven debt. A shopgirl sweeps her threshold, bristles scritching time into circles. She nods, you nod back, a transaction needing no coin. Historians forget how often silence balanced ledgers here, interest-free. Plaster saints blur in your rented room, their faces kindness etched in candle warmth. The key surrenders to the table, its teeth no longer biting. You sink into linen, mattress sighing like a ledger snapping shut. Night air drapes over your shoulders, a cloak woven from loomless hours. Somewhere a cat's paw tips a wineglass, crystal note spiraling through chimney pots. The echo lingers, C-sharp becoming memory, becoming breath, becoming nothing. Let your bones drink the stillness. Let the Arno's dark ribbon curl around today's arithmetic, carrying numbers downstream. Every debt has its season, every season its tide. Even Medici gold once slept buried in vaults dreamless as this hour. Your fingers unclench, palms moonlit and empty. The city exhales, shutters clicking like abacus beads settling. Sleep comes as soft as ink, absorbing into parchment. Final column summed, no remainder.